Welcome to episode 9. My name's Jay and this is the Whiskey Burn. This week, Defender bottles at the ready. You might be wondering what that means, but stay tuned and I'll explain all. So welcome to episode 9, Defender bottles at the ready. What do I mean by that? So I'll just get straight to it. Christmas is coming and you got friends, you got family coming round and they'll know you're into whiskey and you go, yeah, I've got some really nice bottles and I've got some cheap bottles. What are they going to want? Oh, give me something good. But they don't appreciate the whiskey and they don't want to get into whiskey. They're just enjoying Christmas and the moment. And they know that if you turn up, you're probably going to take a nice bottle of whiskey. Or if they come to your house, they know that you'll have some good stuff. So, Defender bottles at the ready. I'll explain all, just one sec. I've got Famous Grouse, I've got the Glencairn, Lechique, Dalmore, and the Brewer Cladic, the classic laddie. So, Defender bottles, you've got yourself here different priced whiskey. Expensive, and then working your way down to the Famous Grouse, which I think is about £15 a bottle. This was about £20, this was about £28, this was about, I think, £50, and this was just under £70. Now, if people are coming around and drinking at Christmas or drinking at a party, are they going to appreciate your bottle that you've spent a lot of money on? Or even more, you could go further down the road there. I've got a Kilchoman cognac cask bottle. I think that was about £80. Are you going to spend £80 on a really nice bottle of whiskey that you really like for someone to just neck it? Probably not, are you? So you have what you call Defender bottles. So for example, if someone comes around and goes, oh, look at this Dalmore, isn't it a beauty? Isn't it really sweet? You can say, yeah, it is. However, I've got something that tastes a little bit similar further down your line and have something to back up. So the Defender, I am not saying the Famous Grouse and the Dalmore are the same taste, by the way, but you could offer them something different. And if they're new to whiskey, I always say a Glencairn, about £20 from your local supermarket, is a fantastic whiskey to start and try people on. That for me is a great Defender bottle. It's cheap, so if someone goes, well, I don't like that, bung a load of Coke in it, and before you know it, you got a Coke and whiskey, and you're looking at them going, why are you doing that? What you can do is you can say, try it. If you don't like it, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter too much. Because imagine if they did that to a Brewer Cladic or a Dalmore or even the Lechique. You know, this is a beautiful bottle. It's the Sinclair series. Really, really nice. Oh, I'll have some of that at the end of this. So, I'm not saying get all your whiskies out and go, here's my good ones, hide them away. You don't need to do that. Get your good whiskies out and say, yeah, these are really good. And if they're appreciating your Defender bottles, so they try a Famous Grouse, they'll have probably heard of Famous Grouse or a Bell's, possibly maybe even go out and buy a cheaper bottle for this process. Here you go. You want a whiskey? Yeah, oh, this is a really good whiskey. Try it. It's the Glencairn. It's sweet. It's very nice taste of caramels, toffees, vanillas. Try this one. You might like that. Because Lechique, very peaty. The Dalmore, very fruity. So you've got to go, what is it you like? What tastes you like? But having bottles to sit in front of the other ones and say, oh, I really like this, the look of this. Because it does look smart, it does look neat. But do you want to give them some of your expensive whiskey? So you can say, here is a different type of whiskey that I think you might like. For example, I've got some in decanters. I've got an Airstone. I've got my fave here, Johnny Walker Double Black. Now, if someone turns up and they like whiskey, then you can give them whatever they want, whatever they like. If they ask for advice, you can say, well, I know you appreciate it. You're not just going to chuck it down your throat and go, oh, whiskey burn. And a Glenlivet 12. I could use that possibly because people have heard of Glenlivet. People might think it's a little bit better than, say, a Famous Grouse or slightly more upmarket. A lot of people who know a bit about whiskey but don't enjoy whiskey. And when I mean enjoy, I mean you go to tastings, you appreciate the aromas, the palate, the finish, the way it looks, everything about whiskey. Some people don't. They just go, oh, it's disgusting. It just gives you that burn down your throat. Well, maybe you want to start thinking about, when people like that come round to my house to have some whiskey, am I going to go, right, have some of Glenfern, or am I going to say have some Dalmore? What would you do? So comment below if you think Defender bottles are a good idea, or at least to give it some thought. Think about what you're going to give people. So for example, I've got a friend coming round for Christmas. We're going to have a bit of party. There's going to be a few of us, but I've got 2 friends out of the whole group. I don't just have 2 friends. One of them's really into whiskey, so I'll be sort of borderlining up here, and he understands Defender bottles. And I have another friend who likes whiskey. And when I mean likes, they don't go and appreciate the whiskey. They will down in one kind of thing. So I will be aiming these at a particular friend, and I'll be aiming these at a particular different friend. So it's worth having that in mind, because you don't want to wake up the next day and say, your expensive bottle here has suddenly gone from here down to here, and you don't recall it, or you think, oh, I gave it to my mate, who then goes, oh yeah, that whiskey you gave was horrible last night, but we finished that bottle. Great. You polished off a £70 bottle of whiskey, that was one of your nice ones, when you could have polished off a £20 bottle of whiskey. That's quite nice, it's quite sweet, and they would have appreciated it. You do get the people who turn around and say, no, I want the good stuff, but are they going to appreciate the good stuff? Only you can tell, and only you can sort of really realise that that person will enjoy it. Defender bottles also has another meaning as well. So for example, you buy yourself a really expensive one. So this Brewer Claret, very nice. It is open, and I've had a bit, is an expensive one. So some people, like me, I can't afford to buy whiskey after whiskey after whiskey after whiskey. Ask the wife, she'll disagree. But my collection has taken a long, long time, because I can't just go, oh, that's nice, that's £80, but yeah, thank you very much, there's my bottle. I have to think about it and go, which bottle do I want next? So if I'm having an evening and I go, I'm just going to have a little whiskey tonight, where's my head at? Do I want to be sipping this all the time as a go-to sort of evening drink? Or is this a sort of, right, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to watch a film and really want to enjoy whiskey while enjoying the film, or going to have some nice food, some friends over, they don't drink whiskey, but I want to have a nice whiskey? This is your one here. Your Defender bottle, for example, comes in when you turn around and say, you know what, just going to have a little whiskey. And I'm going to have another one. I might have another one as well. Now, if you've got a lot of money, then this whole situation isn't really going to matter, because you could afford loads of this and you could probably afford loads of this. I can't. Most people can't go out and buy bottle after bottle after bottle. Oh, I finished it now, I'll have another one. Oh, I finished it now, I'll have another one. People can't do that, especially with the price of whiskey going up. So you look at it and you say, right, okay, I'm having a bad day. All I want is just a quick little whiskey while I'm making dinner, or just before the family get in from work, or back from school, college, whatever. Maybe you go with your Defender bottle, because it doesn't matter how much of this you have, it's relatively cheap, and therefore you can just go, you know what, it's cheap, I'll have a large one of these. And you don't then have to feel guilty, not that some people do, because some people just go, it's there, it's meant to be drunk. That's true. But if you can't afford to replace it like that, what do you do? So that's where a Defender bottle comes in. You have some cheaper bottles for I need a large one, and that's it, I'm not bothered. Chuck it down. Bit of, oh yeah, it's nice. Gone. Go with your cheaper Defender bottles. More expensive bottles, just keep and have your little drams here and your little drams there. Middle of the road ones like this Lachique, some might say that's not middle of the road. What is middle of the road these days? I mean, you've got 15, 20, 35, 50 or some 50, 65, something like that. Anyway, I do forget the prices apart from this one for some reason. I always rave about this. It's a great whiskey for a starter. This one, if I'm honest, it depends what mood I'm in. Do I want a smoky whiskey? Do I want a Le Cheap? It smells absolutely... I'm sure this is the Rioja. You know what? Why not? So, for example, the other day, 2 weeks ago, episode 7, I interviewed Adam, who's Irish, and talked about Irish whiskey and the Tullamore Dew. I recently went on holiday and I bought a litre of it. £17.50 it cost for a litre of this stuff. And I was like, did I actually enjoy this? And I really did. So I bought a litre of it. That is a Defender bottle that's nice. It's sort of creamy, beautiful, easy to drink. And I had some of that the other night. I just wanted a little cheeky whiskey. And I was like, you know what? That's what that's there for. I'll have one of those. I didn't go for one of my expensive bottles because I wanted something just there and then, like bosh bosh. Sip and savour the decent ones, what you think are decent. If you think the Glenfern's a decent one, I do. Drink away, because then you can easily replace it. So, this is a cheeky little Le Cheap Rioja cask. I really like this one. I haven't had this for quite a while, because for me, I'll rather have one of my Defender bottles and keep this. Oh, it's got such a strong nose. Absolutely gorgeous. Smell a bit of fruit. Now a little bit of smoke on that. That is an absolute gem of a whiskey. Love whiskey. So there you go. Defender bottles at the ready. I say that because it's Christmas and we all know that one person who comes along and, oh yeah, I love whiskey. Oh, this one's, I've heard of Dalmore and it's got a stag on the front. That means it's got to be expensive. And you don't want to give me the cheap stuff. I should have the expensive stuff. That looks expensive, so that's got to be good. What are you going to do? Go, yeah, there's the bottle. Before you know it, you had a full bottle and they've come back and gone, oh, I'm a little bit tipsy, and that's what's left. Just saying. Initial hit at the front of the mouth. Long finish. And that is gorgeous. I haven't had that for ages. It's great that, isn't it? You pick out a whiskey that you haven't had for ages, you think, oh, I'll try some of that. That is a beaut. So for me, I really like this. It tastes really nice. Would I give that to someone who's in the know? Yes. Would I give that to someone who just wants a whiskey to be part of the gang? Wants a whiskey to be cool? Wants a whiskey because they should have a whiskey because you've got a lot of whiskey? I probably wouldn't. I'd probably keep that and I'd venture further down here. You know, I still don't think there's anything wrong with these whiskies. I'm not sure about Famous Grouse, if I'm brutally honest. But the Glenfern I'm a big fan of, and it's, like I said, it's £20 a bottle. Can't go wrong with that. A couple of ice cubes in here. The usual. You know. And also another thing, if you keep your decent ones, they'll last a long time. And you can buy other cheap ones as well and build your collection up. And then before you know it, you'll have a cabinet full of whiskey. And you can go, well, which one do I want? And if the more whiskey you've got, the more choice you've got, and you can go, right, well, I'm not having any Dalmore because it's quite low, but I've got a ton load of this Famous Grouse. Let's have a little bit of that. Have a little bit of cheeky one of them. And it doesn't matter if you do a big pour, because it's cheap, you can replace it. And that's the beauty of having a bigger collection, is you finish the bottles in a longer time. So there you go. Tell me what you think. Comment below. Give us a like. Give us a subscribe if you can. And yeah, there you go. Defender bottles at the ready. I'm ready. Are you? Well, there you go. That's it for this week, episode 9. Next week, I'll be looking forward to Christmas. Yep, I know. Was it about 4 or 5 weeks away now? Something like that. Anyway, next week, we're talking about what makes a good whiskey present. It'll be similar-ish, sort of, we're talking about prices of bottles and what is a decent bottle of whiskey for the people who like whiskey or people who are getting into whiskey. So that's next week. That'll be episode 10. I can't believe it. That'll be 10th episode. Anyway, enjoy your whiskey. Slanche.